Welcome to another show. Today, it's Battle of the Bands once again as Van Halen versus Cheap Trick, a comparative analysis examining two titans of rock.
You really got me now. You got me so I get some bad night. Yeah, real guitar boy, shake it. I'm a California man. Running with the devil. I'll never let you know you love me. I'm gonna tell you one time. Mommy's alright, daddy's alright. They just seem a little weird. Surrender.
In the pantheon of rock music, few bands have achieved the legendary status of Van Halen and Cheap Trick. Both bands have left an indelible mark on the genre, each bringing their unique sound, style, and charisma to audiences around the world. In this comparative analysis, we will delve into the histories, musical styles, and cultural impacts of Van Halen and Cheap Trick, exploring what made each band iconic and how they differ from one another. Van Halen was formed in 1972 in Pasadena, California by brothers Eddie and Alex Van Halen, along with bassist Mark Stone and vocalist David Lee Roth. The band's debut album, released in 1978, was an immediate success, showcasing Eddie Van Halen's revolutionary guitar techniques and Roth's flamboyant stage presence. Van Halen went on to release numerous albums that defined the rock genre, including 1984, which featured the hit singles Jump and Panama. The band underwent several lineup changes, most notably with the departure of Roth and the addition of Sammy Hagar's lead vocalist in 1985. Despite these changes, Van Halen continued to produce chart-topping albums and maintained their status as rock icons.
One of the greatest guitar players that ever lived. When Eddie Van Halen came on the scene, I had never heard guitar playing like that. You knew something superior was happening. Then when Eddie started playing and you watch him, you couldn't take your eyes off him. That guitar is like it's part of his body.
Eddie changed the way that people physically play guitar. Like everybody knows the two hands on the neck tapping thing.
I mean, when I saw Van Halen in '84, I was 12, and they were my favorite band, and I cried.
Those Van Halen brothers, they were nuts. They were really imbibers, and they were always in the bag. They would start fighting. They would just start fighting, and come to fisticuffs, and then they'd be like, "Oh, I love you, man," and then they'd be hugging.
The less said about the Gary Cherone era, the better. Cheap Trick was formed in 1973 in Rockford, Illinois by guitarist Rick Nielsen, bassist Tom Peterson, drummer Bunny Carlos, and vocalist Robin Zander. Known for their catchy melodies and energetic performances, Cheap Trick gained a loyal following with their self-titled debut album in 1977. Their breakthrough came with the release of Live at Budokan in 1978, which included the hit singles I Want You to Want Me and Surrender. Cheap Trick's music blended the raw energy of punk with the melodic sensibilities of pop, creating a sound that was both accessible and innovative. The band has continued to produce music and tour, remaining a beloved fixture in the rock world.
He wanted a heavier sound, because if you listen to Double Fantasy now, I mean, it sounds kind of loungy to me, and it's like it sounds like studio guys, which it was.
And what song do you perform?
Losing You and Moving On. He said, God, I wish I would have had, he said to Bunny and Jack, he said, I wish I would have had him on Cold Turkey. He said, Clapton choked up.
I Want You to Want Me. How long did it take you to write that song? Because it really is the quintessential rock song.
About 4 minutes.
4 minutes?
Okay, 3.5. It was a backlash against all these long songs that pleaded, 3 minutes to beg for you know what.
Van Halen's music is characterized by Eddie Van Halen's virtuosic guitar playing, which incorporates techniques such as tapping, harmonics, and rapid arpeggios. The band's sound blends hard rock with elements of heavy metal, featuring powerful riffs, dynamic solos, and anthemic choruses. David Lee Roth's vocals add a theatrical flair, while Sammy Hagar's tenor brought a more melodic and polished approach. Van Halen's music often explores themes of rebellion, partying, and romance, appealing to a wide audience of rock enthusiasts. In 1962, at the age of 7, Eddie began learning classical piano by ear and became so proficient he won an annual piano recital contest 2 or 3 years in a row, despite never mastering sight-reading sheet music. The brothers began playing together in the 1960s, with Eddie on drums and Alex on guitar. However, while Ed was delivering newspapers to pay off his drum set, Alex secretly developed a passion and proficiency at them. Eventually, out of frustration and brotherly competition, Eddie told Alex, "Okay, you play drums, and I'll play your guitar." The Van Halen brothers formed their first band, the Broken Combs, in 1964, as they gained popularity playing backyard parties and local high school functions. They changed their name, first to the Trojan Rubber Company, then in 1972 to Genesis, later to Mammoth. When they discovered Genesis was already in use by a major label British band, and Mammoth was also in use. At this time, the band included Eddie on both vocals and lead guitar. Friend Mark Stone was on bass. They rented a sound system from Indiana-born Pasadena transplant David Lee Roth for $10 per night. Roth fronted a local R&B-influenced rock band, the Red Ball Jets. Roth's Uncle Manny owned Cafe Wah in New York City until 1968. Partly to save money, they invited Roth to join as their lead vocalist despite previous unconvincing auditions. Ultimately, Roth's charismatic Jim Dandy approach would be both an artistic foil to Eddie's circumspect guitar prodigy talents, as well as allowing Eddie to focus his energies on song composition. Cheap Trick's sound is a fusion of rock, punk, and pop, characterized by Rick Nielsen's inventive guitar work and Robin Zander's versatile vocals. The band's music features catchy hooks, clever lyrics, and infectious energy, with influences ranging from the Beatles to The Who. Cheap Trick's songs often include humorous and introspective themes capturing the complexities of love and life with a playful yet poignant touch. Their ability to blend different genres and create memorable tunes has earned them a devoted fan base and critical acclaim. In 1967, Rick Nielsen formed Fuse with Tom Peterson, who had played in another Rockford, Illinois band called the Bo Weevils. With Barney Carlos joining on drums, Fuse moved to Philadelphia in 1971. From 1972 to 1973, they called themselves Sick Man of Europe, after a European tour in 1973. Nielsen and Peterson returned to Rockford and reunited with Carlos. According to Rolling Stone, the band adopted the name Cheap Trick on August 15, 1973. The name was inspired the band's attendance at a Slade concert, where Peterson commented that Slade used every cheap trick in the book as part of their act. Cheap Trick's debut album came out in 1977, with Van Halen's coming out the following year in 1978. Both bands had mediocre chart success. In 1978, Cheap Trick's Surrender only went to number 62, the Hot 100. A California Man failed to chart at all, while Van Halen fared somewhat better with their remake of the Kinks' You Really Got Me, making it to number 36 on the charts. The follow-up, Running with the Devil, would only make it to number 84. Both bands would finally hit it big in 1979, as Cheap Trick made it to number 7 on the Hot 100 with I Want You to Want Me, followed up by the top 30 hits Ain't That a Shame, Dream Police, and Voices. Van Halen made it to number 15 with Dance the Night Away, and Beautiful Girls was also released. That wasn't faring so well, stalling at number 84. Both bands failed to resonate on the top 40 over the next couple of years. Van Halen would make it to number 12 in 1982 with a cover of Roy Orbison's Pretty Woman. Also another remake, Dancing in the Streets, made it to number 38, both also faring well on the mainstream rock charts. But Cheap Trick's offerings stalled. If You Want My Love made it to number 45 on the Hot 100, while She's Tight stalled at number 65. Now, If You Want My Love did make it to number 11 on the mainstream rock charts. However, Cheap Trick failed to chart in 1984, while Van Halen had their biggest year on the charts to date with their first number one single, Jump, followed by I'll Wait in Panama, both of which made it number 13 on the Hot 100 and ate up the mainstream rock charts. Hot for Teacher would stall at number 56. Cheap Trick would still lie dormant in 1986. However, the band's lineup would stay relatively the same until 2010, with Pete Comita and John Brandt filling in for Tom Peterson for a short time. Van Halen lost David Lee Roth to a solo career after 1984, but their success continued with Sammy Hagar, now the front man.
Straight from my heart. Oh, tell me why can't this be love? Come on, baby, finish what you started. I'm incomplete. How do I know when it's on? I can't tell you, but it lasts forever.
One of the biggest rock bands in the world. Get on your feet for the mighty Van Halen!
Why Can't This Be Love, Dreams, and Love Walks In, all making the top 20, with Why Can't This Be Love topping the charts at number 3. Cheap Trick would finally make it to number 1 with The Flame in 1988. Following that was their cover of Elvis Presley's Don't Be Cruel, which made it to number 4 on the Hot 100. In 1988, Van Halen peaked at number 5 with When It's Love, followed that up with Finish What You Started, which made it to number 13. Cheap Trick would make the top 20 on the Hot 100 one more time in 1990 with Can't Stop Falling Into Love, which peaked at number 12. Van Halen would make the top 30 on the Hot 100 one more time in 1995 with Can't Stop Loving You. However, Van Halen's singles would keep peaking in the top 10 on the mainstream rock charts, while Cheap Trick all but disappeared. Van Halen's impact on rock music is profound, influencing countless guitarists and bands with Eddie Van Halen's groundbreaking techniques and the band's high-energy performances. They helped define the sound of 1980s rock, with their music becoming synonymous with the excess and exuberance of the decade. Van Halen's iconic stature is cemented by their induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2007, and their music continues to be celebrated by fans and musicians alike. Cheap Trick's influence extends beyond their music, with their quirky image and charismatic stage presence making them a unique force in rock. They bridged the gap between punk's rawness and pop's accessibility, paving the way for future bands to explore new musical territories. Cheap Trick's enduring popularity is reflected in their induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2016, and their songs remain a staple of rock radio and playlists. In comparing Van Halen and Cheap Trick, it is clear that both bands have made significant contributions to rock music, each with their distinct styles and legacies. Van Halen's technical prowess and electrifying performances set them apart as pioneers of hard rock, while Cheap Trick's catchy melodies and genre-blending sound have made them beloved icons. Ultimately, the choice between Van Halen and Cheap Trick comes down to personal preference, as both bands offer unique and unforgettable experiences to their listeners. And that was our show for today. What did you think? Are you a Cheap Trick fan? Are you a Van Halen fan? Did you like both equally? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And while you're at it, I'd be honored if you subscribe to my channel. Click the little bell to stay informed, and check out my Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter franchise, which is also in the comments. Share this video, as that will help me grow on YouTube as well. Until next time, this is Kevin Gibbons saying, live long and prosper. May the force be with you, and keep reaching for the stars.